Okay, so welcome. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to multiply by hand. Also, I'll be showing you a couple of methods maybe to practice your times tables, your multiplication tables, at least up through 12. 12 times 12, 11 times 11, etc. And let's go ahead and get started. So, okay, I'll be talking about this. I just mentioned it. We're going to be talking about how to figure out a good way to practice your multiplication tables with efficiency. Again, remember that in math, especially with these basic level skills, we want to be quick and efficient. We want to know our times tables very well. And conversely, that means that if we know our multiplication tables, we should be pretty good at dividing at least basic amounts relatively fast. Okay, so that's a very important skill to learn. And I'll be talking about how you guys can practice this at home. So put the amount with more digits first, even if it's a smaller amount. So when we're multiplying two amounts, we'll put the amount that has more digits in that number, more numbers in the number, I guess, first. And then we'll put the one that has less digits underneath that, and then we'll multiply them. Even if the one that has more digits in it, the amount that has more digits, is a smaller amount. It doesn't matter the size of the amount. We're really looking to see the one that has more numbers in it, and we'll put that one first. And I'll show you that. And again, when we're multiplying, we locate or we place the decimal after we're done doing the entire operation. That's actually the last step, okay? And again, practice good organization. We're going to be looking at some problems today that are pretty big. It's going to be several multiplications, several steps to do. And organization is absolutely key, just like in division. All right? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. How was the first way that your teachers taught you how to multiply? I've seen a couple of different methods, and one I like more than the other. I did flashcards. Flashcards, I think, are pretty good. If you have time to make yourself some flashcards and quiz yourself daily, that might help you. That's a pretty good way to do it. I've seen some students tell me, well, my teacher taught me how to multiply like this, right? To write my times tables. Let me use one better than 1 times 2. Let's use a bigger one. Let's use, let's go sixes, right? So 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12, right? Let's just say we continue this, and we'll just say like maybe 6 times 6 is 36. And let's just say that we don't know what 6 times 7 is. And this is the reason why, well, what would you do, right? Well, you know that 6 times 6 is 36. And then you get to 6 times 7, and you could be asking yourself, well, I don't know what 6 times 7 is, but I have 36 here, and since I'm doing sixes, all I have to do is add another 6 to this, and that will give me 6 times 7. So I'd be 36, 37, 38, 39, 30, 40, 41, and 42, and that would give me the 7, right? I think I counted wrong, but you get the idea. You would add 6 to this, and it would give you 42. And then you're like, boom, I got my 6 times 7. I know 6 times 7 is 42. But the problem with this method, writing them down like that in order and in a sequence, if you get stuck, what you end up doing is you end up adding the number to the last one that you actually figured out. And so then you're actually practicing your addition, and you're really not practicing your multiplication. And so I don't really like this method too much. Another way I've seen is the old times table chart. And actually, I do prefer this method, but it does have its hang-ups, kind of similar to the last method as well. So you usually put like a little times symbol right here, and then you might have seen something like this, right, etc., where they put the numbers in order, in sequence, both vertically and horizontally. And then where the two numbers intersect in that grid box, you put the answer. So it'd basically be like 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Maybe let's pick another one. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 4 is 8. And you kind of go in that sequence and you fill out the whole thing. You would take these out to your 12 and this one down to 12 to at least get down to 12. You can start challenging yourself and maybe get to your 14s and 15s, etc. But anyway, so this one also has the same kind of problem that the last one did. So let's just say, I don't know what 3 times 4 is, but I know I'm in my table of 3s, so all I'd have to do is add a fourth 3, or basically add 4 to 9. So I'd be all 9, 12, 9, 12, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? Is that right? 3 times 4 is 12. So, oh yeah, 3, counting 3s. So 9, 10, 11, 12. I would add 3 more and then I'd get my 12. So there's a problem with this method because you can, if you get hung up, you can just add whatever whatever row you're in, you can just add one to the next and you get the answer. And again, that would be you practicing how to add instead of multiply. So again, I like this method, but instead of doing that, I would say do this. And again, we're trying to shoot for speed and accuracy, right? So put your time symbol, but instead of putting the numbers in order, why don't you try doing this? Something, just random. I'm not going in any order, but I'm looking for numbers that I haven't used yet. And something like that. That way it's kind of out of sequence. And so I might know 8 times 3. 8 times 3 is 24. And then I don't know 8 times 7. It's a lot harder just to add 8 to 24. That won't give me 8 times 7. That'll give me 8 times 4. Because that's 8 times 3, so that would be if I added 8, that'd be 8 times 4. So it's harder to do that. If you don't know it, you don't know it. And you have to work a lot harder to figure out what 8 times 7 is. In this case, it would be what, 56? Right? And then 8 times 12, 8 times 2. And so my suggestion would be to put this grid on a piece of paper, run the numbers out to 12, but just scatter the numbers, but just make sure you have all 12. And then do the same thing here, have all 12, or 1 to 12, but just scattered. And then fill it out. And my suggestion would be to fill it out within like 10 minutes. Put yourself a goal, a time. Set your timer on your phone or whatever you have, and just look at the clock. And try to get as many of them right as you can in 10 minutes. And when the time's over, if you didn't finish it, that's fine, just stop. Crumple up the paper. Throw it away, recycle it, that's better, recycle it, and do it again tomorrow, do it again the next day, and start again. And what's going to end up happening, you're going to be good at a few of them, you're going to be good at a lot of them, boom, 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 get good at many of them, and then you're going to have those ones that are difficult. So you still have some time, you still have 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you can do whatever you have to do, count on your fingers, whatever you got to do to figure out like 7 times 8. I got to do all this work to figure out what that one is. And what ends up happening is, even if you don't finish the whole chart in the second or third time, you worked hard on a couple of them. And the next time you get to the next time you start again, you'll remember how hard you worked for 7 times 8. Oh, I remember what it was, 56. And you keep going and then you get stuck again. And what ends up happening is you start incrementing the ones that you had to work hard. You start incrementing the number that you get. What am I trying to say? You get further along in the chart is what I'm trying to say. And the ones that were challenging become repeated, and you start remembering those ones faster. So I would say in about 2 weeks, you could probably get all your multiplication tables through 12. Pretty solid. And again, if you can get it in 10 minutes, see how fast you can get it. If you can get it down to 9 minutes. If you can get the whole thing in 9 minutes, see if you can get it down to 8 minutes. Until you can go as fast as your hand will write. And that's the goal, okay? So that's how I would learn it. And again, the other way would be flashcards, because flashcards are also very random. But it's more of a memory game. I like the idea of where you have to work for the number, and that's how you remember it. Not just because, okay, I'll try to remember it the next time. Okay, I'll try to remember it the next time. Okay, I'll try to remember it the next time. It's more of, I had to work to remember, to work to get that answer, so now I do remember. I like that a little bit better. So anyway, all right, so we're going to do some problems. We'll start off kind of easy. We'll just start off with the basics here, and then we'll get a little bit harder and a little bit harder, a little more interesting, a little bit more fun. So here's a basic one, 12 times 3. If you practice your times table charts, you will know this automatically. But if you don't, that's cool. We can do it step by step. So we'll start with the right-hand column of numbers, the 2 and the 3. And then so anyways, basically what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this bottom number by the 2 and then by the 1. And that's how it goes. So we'll go 3 3 times 2, and that is 6. And that 6 will stay in that right underneath that first column. Again, this is where organization is important, right? Not so much with this one, but it will be more so in the later problems. And then we do 3 times 1. 3 times 1 is 3. So the answer is 36. Okay? Simple as pie. Simple as that. All right, let's do another one. Let's keep getting more interesting here. Let's see if I can write. Jeez. Okay. 15.25 times 2. So now, again, 15.25 is larger than 2, but that's really not why I have it in this order. I put the number that has more digits. This one, 15.25, has 4 numbers in it. So 4 numbers versus 1 number, I put the one with more numbers, more digits in that amount first, okay? That's what I was meaning in that little bullet point that I had at the beginning. All right, so let's go, and again, it's this 2 that we're going to multiply by the 5, by the 2, by the 5, by the 1, okay? That's what we're going to do. Okay, so 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, well, here we go. Here's the problem, right? 10 has 2 digits, right? So kind of like when we were doing addition, the right-hand digit will be put right underneath that first column for the 10, and the left-hand digit will go over to the second number, all right? So we are still multiplying, so we're going to multiply the 2 times the 2, that's 4. But this one that we put up on top, we don't multiply. We don't go, okay, 4 times 1. We don't do that. It's 2 times 2 is 4, and if there's any extra digit that gets carried over, we add it to the 4, or we add it to the multiplication. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And that will go in this column. Then we continue. 2 times 5 is 10. Again, it's the same as that. So the 0 gets put down first, and the 1 gets carried over to the next column. Okay? And then 2 times 1 is 2, plus the one we carried is 3. All right? And so that is basically how we do that kind of multiplication, where we have to carry a digit. It gets added to the next column. Okay. But we have a decimal. And the last thing we got to do in any multiplication, especially if we have decimals, is locate the decimal. So how do we do that? Basically, all the decimals need to be moved to the right-hand side of the number. So let's say, well, 2. For it to be 2, okay, I've talked about this in addition and in subtraction. For it to be 2, it's actually 2.0. So the decimal point is already there. But because there's no decimal after the 2, they don't put the point and they don't put anything else after. So, but anyway, so this 2 already has its point located to the right-hand side of it. But the 15.25 does not. The 15.25, we have to move this decimal 1 space, 2 spaces, and count the spaces. So this one moved two spaces. And this one, if you want to put something, this one moved nothing, right? So that one didn't move at all because it was already to the right. And then we'd count all these spaces that we had to move. In this case, 2 plus 0 is 2, so we have 2 spaces total. So starting from the right-hand side of what we multiplied, we'll move this point, starting here, count 2 to the left, okay? Because that's what it was, 1, 2. So the decimal would be, well, the answer, if I just rewrite the whole thing, is 30.5. If you want to leave the 0, you can put 30.50. That's cool. But it's really 30.5, 30.5. So, what did we learn here? What did we learn? Anyway, yeah, the decimal gets placed at the end. Some habits that my students have is they just see this and it's in between the 4 digits, and I have 4 digits down here, so they just put it in the middle. Sometimes you get it right, but sometimes you'll get it wrong. So it's always, what we're really doing is counting the spaces. So move those decimals to the right, or count the spaces to the right. Mark it if you want to mark it, if you can't remember. And then do the same thing here. If it's a whole number like 2 or 5 or 12, it's already to the right. Okay, I think I'm done with that. Okay, let's move on. And okay, let's do another one. 21.30 times 5.5. And remember, at any point in the video, you can stop it and try to do the problem before I do it. Why not? Go for it. I bet you can do it right. I bet you can. So, Again, we're just going to start, but see, now this one kind of changed. Now we have 2 digits in the bottom number. Before we only started with 1, and now we're getting a little bit more interesting. Aside from having just our 2 digits, we also have a decimal that's not located all the way to the right. So let's see what we do. But I said the decimal is the last thing you do. What we're going to do first is the multiplication. Okay, so the way this works, when we have more than 1 digit on the bottom here, what we do is we do all the multiplications as if we just had the first one. So I'll go 5 times 0, 5 times 3, 5 times 1, 5 times 2, carry digits if I have to carry digits. And then I start all over again. Then I start with the second 5, and I do it all over again. 5, dun, 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 dee, 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 da, da, da. Okay? Carry if I have to carry, and that's what I'll do. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to start with the first 5. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 is a 2-digit number, so I'm going to put the first digit, the 5, down, and I'm going to carry that 1 over to the third column. 5 times 1 is 5. I had to think. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1, the one we carried, is 6. And then the last one would be 5 times 2 is 10. And again, I'm trying to maintain organization with these columns, okay? I don't want to just scrunch all my numbers together because I can get confused. All right, so now what we have to do is we're going to do the same thing with this digit, but we're going to put it underneath what we just did and 1 step to the left. So basically what I do, so I don't get confused, is I always put like a blank space or a space holder. Some people just don't put nothing, and that's cool. If you don't put nothing and it works for you, great. Okay, so what basically that means is this second number is going to start, the answer after this, we start the multiplication here, the answer is going to start here, underneath the 5, not underneath the 0. And that's why I put that little red crossed out 0 space holder, right? Okay, so then here we go. Oops. Also, if you want, you can erase what you wrote up here, the numbers that you carried. You don't have to, you can just kind of forget about them, and if you carry another one, write it above that one on your paper. Okay, I'll probably do one like that. So here we go. 5 times 0, 0. The answer goes there now. 5 times 3 is 15. The 5 gets put down. The 1 gets carried. Of course, this is going to be the exact same number because they're both 5s, but I'm just going to go through the steps. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. 5 times 2 is 10, and there we go. So now we did the multiplication with both numbers, and these are the sequences that we got, the 2 sequence of numbers after, or answers, I guess. So with these ones, what we do now is we add them. And this is why that organization is important, that we line these up correctly so that we're adding them together correctly, okay? So here we go. 0 plus 0 is 0. 5 plus 0 is 5. 6 plus 5 is 11. 11, we carry the 1. 1 plus 0 plus 6 is 7. 1 plus 0 is 1. And 1 plus, well, just you can put a 0 there if you want. 0 plus 1 is 1. Okay, so there we go. We have 1, 1, 7, 1, 5, 0. But where does the decimal point go? That's the key, right? It's the last thing we have to do. So the decimals, like I said earlier, they have to move to the right. We have to count the spaces. 1, 2 to the right. That one went 2. This one goes 1. In total, there's 3 spaces that I have to count for the decimal. So starting from the right side, going to the left, we're going to count those 3 and then put the decimal. 1, 2, 3. So the decimal goes right in the middle there. Okay? So this is 117.15. You can put the 0, it's not necessary. It could just be like that. Okay? Cool beans. All right. Let's get more into this. I'm going to do several. I just, I like to do them. I like math. Math is fun. All right, so 10.30 times 20. Okay, so here we go. Again, if you want to stop it and give it a go, do it. You can see if I get it wrong. I might get it wrong. You might say, hey, you did that wrong. And then leave me a message. All right, so here we go. 0 times 0 is 0. 0 times 3 is 0. It's actually a nice thing when the first number is 0 because everything is going to be 0. But anyway, 0 times 0 is 0, and 0 times 1 is 0. So there's really nothing in that first column. In that first row. And then I'll just go ahead and put my space saver. And continue. So here we go. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 1 is 2. Got a little lost right there. Okay, here we go. Now we add them together. 0, 0, 6, 0, 2. And then I locate my decimal. 20 has its decimal already there at the right-hand side. So that one's going to basically move 0 spaces. But this one's going to move 2 to get to that right-hand side. So in total, I have 2 spaces that I got to move the decimal. So starting from the right, going to the left, count 1, 2. So this would be 206, basically. Okay, 206. Is that what you got? All right. So that was kind of an easy one, actually. All right, here we go. Here we go. Okay. I'm looking at it, I'm like, geez, why did I put that one? Let's start like right here. Okay, and 32.80. Okay, so I'll make that point a little clearer. This is a bigger number. It's bigger in the sense that we have 4 digits in this bottom number. Believe it or not, well, I mean, obviously, 32.8 is a lot bigger than 0.00125. So even though the number is bigger, it doesn't matter. We're putting the number that has more digits in it. So this top number has 5 numbers, and this one has 4 numbers. So I'm going to put the one that has 5 on top, even though it is a smaller amount. Okay? All right. Let's see here. So go ahead and give it a go. See what you get. And because we have 4 digits, that means that we're going to have 4 rows of answers. Keep that in mind too. So it's going to be a lot. So at the end, we're going to be adding 4 numbers in each column. Well, let's take a look at how that works. 0 times 5 is 0. So like I already said, when this first bottom number is 0, everything's going to be 0. But let's go ahead and do it. 0 times 2, 0. 0 times 1, 0. 0 times 0, 0. And 0 times 0, 0. Trying to maintain my columns organized as best I can, okay? And I suppose I could do better, but anyway. So now I'm going to my second one, so I need 1 place saver. Okay, now we're going to be doing the one with the 8. 8 times 5 is 40. 40 is 2 digits, so the first right-hand number of 40, the 0, will be put down. And the 4 gets carried to the next column, okay? 8 times 2 is 16. We add the one that we carried. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 4 is 20. 20 is also a 2-digit number, so the 2, that's a horrible 2. The 2 gets carried to the next column, okay? 8 times 1 is 8, plus 2 is 10. 10 is a 2-digit number. Put the 1, we put the 0 down, carry the 1. 8 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. See how that works? 8 times 0 is 0. Plus 1 is 1. We just bring down the 1. And then 8 times 0 is 0. All right. Now I'm on my third number, which means what? I'm going to have 2 space holders here. On my third row of answers. And I didn't mention that earlier because this is the first one that we've had like this. But when we have multiple rows, lots of numbers in the bottom number to multiply. And if you didn't catch on already, that's why I picked the one that has less numbers on the bottom instead of more. That's exactly why. So I have less rows here, okay? Anyway, but when we have multiple rows, each time that we come down a step, we have to come down and over, down and over, down and over, every single time you have another number that you're multiplying, okay? I'm going to leave those there just to leave them and see if I don't get confused. Something you might want to do on your paper after you do them, you might want to just, okay, those ones don't count anymore. I'm on my next number. I'm on the 2 now, right? So 2 times 5 is 10. 10 is a 2-digit number. The 0 gets put down. The 1 gets carried. And notice how I just put it over. These are just habits that you can, might want to use. Okay, so we did 2 times 5 is 10. 0, 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus the one we carried is 5. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 0 and 2 times 0 is going to be 0 and 0. I kind of did that quick. I think you guys can keep up though. Some of you are like, hurry up already. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cross that one out because I already used it. I'm on my last number finally, which means I'm on my fourth column or row down here. So 3 times 5 is 15. The 5 gets put down. The 1 gets carried. 3 times 2 is 6, plus that 1 is 7. 3 times, and this is where the organization, and you got to kind of keep track of where you're at. So I did the 3 times 2, 1, 7. 3 times 1 is 1. I'm sorry, 3 times 1 is 3. Didn't have to carry anything. So it's just 3. And 3 times 0 is 0, and 3 times 0 is 0. Okay, there it is. We're going to add all these together. Column by column. 0, 0, 0. Okay. 0, 0, 5, 5, or plus, of course, 0 plus 0 plus 5 and 5. That's going to be 10, right? 5 plus 5 is 10. So you put the 0 down, carry the 1. And I have, what do I have here? I have 11, right? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And 3 plus 1 is 4. And these zeros, they really don't count if you don't need them. Do we need them? We might need them. All right, I'll bring them down. And the reason why I say we might need them is because we're going to have to move that decimal. So again, these decimals have to be scooted over all the way to the right-hand side, and we count how many spaces we scooted it, right? So let's say how many places? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one moved over 5, and this one's going to move over 1, 2. So in total, we have to go over 7 spaces. All right, so let's do that. Starting here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the answer. Okay, so I'll just rewrite that. I have space. So the answer is 0.041. Actually, that's it. These zeros really don't mean anything if there's nothing else there. So the answer could be just 0.41. Sorry, no, 0.041. All right, so yeah, these zeros are not gonna, they're not. Now, if there was if this one was a 1, then I'd have to write 0, 0, 1, and then that last 0 doesn't count. That's how that works, okay? But in this case, it wasn't. It was just a 0. And so all those last final zeros after the decimal like that, they don't count. Just so you know. All right, so that's a tricky problem. That was a lot of work, a lot of steps. So many places to make mistakes. That's why the practice is so important, okay? Because we're adding a whole bunch of numbers. We're subtracting, we're not subtracting. We're multiplying a whole bunch of numbers. We're locating the decimal at the end. And so there's a lot of stuff going on there. All right. So that was my last one that I'm going to do before I like to roll my little board over, right? So here's the board. Dun, 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 dun. And I guess, like I said, I could probably just, I could probably just write them down, but that's fine. All right, so here we go. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to stop the video after I read the problems to you. So you have 2 examples here. You have to organize them. You have to put them in the right order to make it easier on yourself. Trust me, right? So the first one is 14.90 times 300.95, and the next one is 0.00015 times 25.1 or 25.10, okay? All right, so go ahead and stop the video and see how you do. All right, which one was harder? Both pretty difficult? Well, let's just see here. So let's go ahead and start with this first one. I'll just scoot this over a little bit more. All right, so I have the 2 numbers, and the way I would organize it, just a suggestion, of course, is I would put this number right underneath, okay? And I don't know if you've noticed, but I talked about the last 0. If it's just after we have a decimal right here and there's just the very last digit is a 0, or the last 2 or 3 digits are just zeros, you can just take them off. Because when you multiply, it's going to be times 0, times 0, times 0, times 0. You have a whole row of nothing. Why put anything, right? So I might do that actually. So I'm going to go ahead and put this 4, because it has less numbers, and this one has 5 digits, and they all are very important. They all count. This one has 4 digits with 1 digit that really doesn't count. It's just, it's kind of there at the end. So I could even say this one has 3 digits, and I think I might just do that. So I'm going to put this one underneath here, okay? It's not like subtraction and addition where we line up the points. We don't do that. We just start from the right-hand side and put the numbers. That's just all we do. So I'm going to go ahead and put 14.9. Now, if you guys put 14.90, then it would be scooted over 1, right? And you'd have the 0 starting off. But I already told you that the last zeros after a decimal point, they don't count. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Where's my eraser? All right. And here we go. So, one by one. 9 times 5 is 45. Carry the 4. 9 times 9 is 81. 81 plus 4 is 85. Put the 5 down, carry the 8. 9 times 0 is 0, plus 8 is 8. 9 times 0 is 0, and 9 times 3 is 27. Not the best looking 7, but okay. All right, so I'll just keep going with black. I'm going to put my place saver, all right, because I'm going to start the next number. I'm going to cross these guys out because I'm not going to use them again. I'm going to start with my next number now. 4 times 5 is 20. Put the 0 down. Carry the 2. 4 times 9 is 36. 36 plus 2 is 38. Carry the 3. 4 times 0 is 0. Plus 3 is 3. 4 times 0, 0. 4 times 3, 12. Okay, and then because 12 has 2 digits, but there's nothing over to carry it on, no other number that I can carry the 1 over, that's where I put the 2 right, 1, 2, or 2, 1, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to cross these ones out. I used those already. I'm going to put 2 place savers now, and I'll start with the 1. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 9 is 9. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 3 is 3. And now all these answers, these 4 rows, or 3 rows, if you did 4 rows, that's cool, but I'm pretty sure your first row is all zeros, so it doesn't really count, right? We're going to add them. That's what I was going to say. 5 plus 2 zeros is still 5. 5 plus 0 is 5. Let's see here. 16. I have 8 plus 8 is 16. 16 plus 5 is 21. Carry the 2. Put the 1, carry the 2. 3 plus 9 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. 14 plus 0 is 14. So I'll put the 4, carry the 1. 7 and 1 is 8. I'm not counting the zeros. 2 and 2 is 4, not counting the 0. And 1 and 3 is 4. Okay, so that's what your multiplication should look like, all except for we have to place the decimal correctly. So let's go ahead and do that. To do that, we move the decimals to the right, 1, 2, counting the spaces. So this one moved over 2 to get to the far right-hand side, and this one will move over 1 to get to that far right-hand side. In total, 2 and 1, we have 3 spaces that we have to move from the right to the left to put the decimal in the right place. So from here, 1, 2, 3, the decimal should be right there. Okay. We move over 3 spaces because it was 3 that we moved the decimals over to the right. So it should be 4,484.155. Okay? All right, not the prettiest thing, right? But hey, it works. All right, so here we have another one. I think I'm going to rewrite this one all together just because I can see me running out of space. All right, so let's go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and put the larger number, not the larger number or amount, but the one that has more digits in it, this 0.00015. I'm going to put that one first. 015. And then I'll put it times this number. But again, we have a decimal point, and the last number, the last one in this case, sometimes last 2, last 3, but last one in this one is a 0. I can just kind of take that off. It just saves me a little bit of work. So I'm going to go ahead and put 25.1. And I'm going to multiply these 2 together. All right? So let's go ahead and clean that up. And again, you can use that last 0 if you want, but you don't need to. So let's go ahead and start. 1 times 5 is 5. Put the 5 down. 1 times 1 is 1. Put the 1 down. 1 times 0, it's going to be 3 zeros, right? Because 1 times 0, 1 times 0, 1 times 0 is 0, 0, 0. All right. I'm going to put my space saver. And I'm going to start with the next digit on the bottom here, the 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Put the 5 down, carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2. Remember those ones that we carry, we always add them. Plus 2 is 7. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 0 is 0. And the last one also will be 0. Okay? Now I'll put my 2 space savers. And then I can cross this one out. Don't want to get confused with that 2 that I carried. And I'll go ahead and start with this bottom 2 here. So 2 times 5 is 10. Put the 0, carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. And 2 times 0, 2 times 0, and 2 times 0 is going to be 0 and 0 and 0. Okay, that looks like a 6. Jeez. Okay, so here we go. We're going to add those together now, okay? 5 plus 2 zeros is 5. 1 plus 5 is 6, not counting the 0. 7, not counting the 2 zeros. 3, not counting the 2 zeros. And 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So let's go ahead and bring those down. All right, now we have to locate the decimal point to finish this off and call it a day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. So 1 and 5 or 5 and 1 is 6. Okay? So starting from the right-hand side, I got to move move 6 spaces and then put my decimal point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the answer. The answer should be 0.0037665. Okay, there you go. Well, I hope it was useful. I hope you learned something in this video. Again, practice your times tables. I mean, that's actually very, very important. Also, having good organizational skills and knowing the procedure of how to do these kinds of multiplications and correctly locate the decimal at the end of a problem is really important. Yeah, practice makes perfect. I say that all the time, so I said it again.